And today we're watching Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, which came out 6 years after Halloween 3. So, Kennedy, give them a plot summary.
A comatose Michael Myers, played by George P. Wilbur, is being transferred from one hospital to another, but wakes up when the ambulance crew talk about his surviving niece, Jamie, played by Danielle Harris, who is the daughter of Sister Laurie Strode. After slaughtering his attendants, Michael sets out to find his one living relative, who is, fortunately, being cared for by a kind and resourceful foster sister, Rachel, played by Ellie Cornell, while the vigilant Dr. Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence, remains on the killer's path.
So, Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, kind of a return to form. Because Halloween 3, there was no Michael Myers except for the time we saw him on the TV screen within the movie. So, this was the first time he was back since 1981. So, a good
Yeah.
eight or so years with no Michael. So
After the backlash from the fanboys.
yeah, and the low box office return because Halloween 3 only made 14 million compared to Halloween 2's 25.5 million. So it was definitely the box office number. I mean, it also took 6 years before they came up with this. But
And this was all during the middle of really the 80s slasher craze, right? Of
I
like
mean,
Jason.
by '88, Jason had like 5 or 6 movies out. Freddy had 4 or 5 movies out. There were even like some Texas Chainsaw Massacres out. So by the time this one came out, like the horror, like the slasher genre had already been like completely saturated.
Yeah.
So when you get to Halloween 4 and Return of Michael Myers, before you push play, like your very first time watching it, what were you thinking?
Before watching this movie.
Yeah, like
Uh,
what was your expectations?
well, I didn't know going into this. I just remember the cover art just kind of being the OG Michael Myers mask, which is interesting because then it's interesting how they use like the
It's
OG mask
such a
for the cover
tease.
art,
It's such a tease.
but then it's like a whole different one during the movie. But yeah,
We'll
clearly
get to the
it's
mask in a different second.
yeah, we will. But yeah, just clearly you know that you're getting back into that they're bringing back Michael, and I was just interested in seeing like, oh, are they gonna bring back Laurie too? Because I've seen Laurie in the cover art of like H2O and stuff, so that tells me that they're going back to her, right? Right? That was kind of like my first impressions, and I was just kind of expecting more of the same kind of slasher stuff. So yeah, and they clearly delivered in my opinion.
I mean, for me, my first time watching this, actually, this is actually the first sequel I've ever watched. I saw this before I saw Halloween 2 and Halloween 3. So coming
Okay.
into this and seeing Laurie's daughter, and I was like, oh, so Laurie died in a car crash. That's sad, but we still have Laurie. But then it also brings up one of the biggest plot point and plot like something about the overall Halloween movie series plot that bugs me is Jamie is with foster family. Where the hell are Laurie's parents? We saw her dad once in
Hmm.
Halloween 2. We saw glimpses of her mom in Halloween 3. So where are Laurie's parents and why isn't Jamie with Laurie? I mean, with her parents or with her father's parents? Who was Jamie's father? All these questions. I'm just like, and we know that there are other Strodes out there because we see more Strode family members in part 6. So the
Hmm.
fact that she's with this random family in Haddonfield, and if this is the daughter of Michael Myers, and Michael Myers is comatose, not dead, comatose, why wouldn't you people try to get her out, have her foster somewhere out of state, out of Haddonfield? Why keep her in Haddonfield where we know Michael, there's a possibility he's not gonna die and can resurface?
Well, that kind of goes back, and I'm sure we'll talk about this
And
later.
and
But like,
all of that like ruins the plot overall for me.
Well, also because there's also cameos from Lindsay and Tommy, right? I thought like, well, wouldn't they have tried to get out of there too? But
Yeah, I mean with Lindsay, well they weren't
which I
in
never noticed
they weren't
until this
in
time watching it.
yeah, they weren't in direct danger. I always noticed that because they don't say her name, but it's hinted in the credits. It's in the credits.
Mm,
So and she has like a couple speaking. She has like a little speaking part in the car. That's Lindsay, and then you have Tommy, who you just see laughing with Brady, with her other friend. So we have all of that, and I was just like, it kind of makes sense that Lindsay and Rachel will be friends, given that Rachel specifically states that
Your mother used to babysit me when I was your age. I bet you didn't know that.
You're lucky. I wish you could do the same
Lori
for me.
babysat her friends. But then I'm like, why show me two surviving characters from the original movie and not feature them in the movie?
yeah, it would have been cool seeing them like struggle with their PTSD and kind of navigate around and saving Jamie.
Which we're going to be getting, sort of, in Halloween Kills because both Tommy and Lindsay
Yeah,
are going to be in this movie,
yeah. But
along
kind
with along with Sheriff Brackett, who has a mention in this
of,
movie.
yeah. I was gonna say because I know that you mentioned earlier that like oh like I thought we were gonna get all these questions answered. This movie creates a whole bunch of different questions about the Strohs and where's everybody's families at. I don't know if you have the answer to this question, but like did earlier drafts of this movie include a Laurie Strode, or why wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie? I mean, she was in the third one as a voice cameo, but that went a different
I
direction.
I think actually let me check. I know. Okay, so what I'm reading now is that McElroy, the script writer, asked Jamie Lee Curtis and other original cast members to reprise their roles. Um, but by that point, from between Halloween 2 and Halloween 4, Jamie Lee Curtis had blew up. She had been in like several big um like Hollywood movies outside of horror movies.
Yeah.
Trading Places, which is like her big like role. Like she done Trading Places. She had been in A Fish Called Wanda. So she didn't want to continue participation in the franchise. She was done with horror movies,
Wow.
which is good because like she got her start in Halloween, and from that she ran with. I mean, besides Halloween, she did other horror movies after Halloween. She did The Fog with John Carpenter. She did Prom Night, which is one of my favorite slasher films.
Prom Night.
She did
Which I still haven't seen yet either.
Prom Night is amazing, and then she did Terror Train. She did some Australian horror movies with Road Games before Halloween, and that's all before she did all those in between Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. She popped out like four more horror movies, and then she did the voice cameo on Halloween 3, and then that was it. She was done with horror movies, and she wouldn't return to horror movies until Halloween H2O.
Well, this movie kind of like doesn't have anything to do with John Carpenter either at this point, right?
No, but yeah, they approached him, but I'll get into a little bit of that a little bit later.
Weirdly, I don't know why, but to me, this movie feels I don't know why. I'm sure that it had a bigger budget than Halloween 1 and 2, but it feels like it had to me it feels like it had like a smaller budget. I don't know why I feel that way.
This budget was the biggest budget of the original four.
But probably not enough to like pay like even if she was on for it, like I like it feels like they probably didn't have enough to pay for her.
At this point, they probably couldn't afford her at that
Yeah.
point in her career. Because the budget for this movie was $5 million compared to Halloween 3, which was 2.5 million. Halloween 2, I think, was also 2.5 million, and then Halloween 1 was like 300,000. But this is
Mhm.
the biggest budget of those four.
I don't know why it just feels to me like even though this one is the movie with the biggest budget. It feels like it's smaller. I don't know why.
I think it's because of the director. But
Which
I do like that in this movie we see more of Haddonfield than we did
we do so
in the
much
first
more.
two. I mean, because in the first one we only saw the school, the store, Laurie's house. I mean, yeah, Laurie's house, Tommy's house, Michael's house. That's it. And then in the second one we saw another school, and we saw pretty much the same neighborhood. We saw a little bit of like the downtown area, and then we saw the hospital. But with this one, we're seeing like several locations.
No, yeah, I agree that. Yeah, I guess it is the biggest movie we've seen of Haddonfield so far, which I like for sure.
I do too. I like to be where it's like slowly building out the world, which the world of Haddonfield, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But to the director, he didn't have that creepiness setting that John Carpenter and Rick Rosenthal had in the first two movies, or what Tommy Lee Wallace was able to do in Halloween 3. Like, with all the issues I have with Halloween 3, it still invokes that creepy, like, eerie feeling that the first two give me. Well, mostly the first one give me.
I totally agree with you. And that's probably in a good way why I can watch this movie more, just because it's a teeny weeny little bit more lighthearted than usual. I like the autumn feel, the Halloween feel. We see them going trick or treating, which I like. Uh,
You get to see leaves and actually like believe that it's
yeah,
fall. There's no palm trees in the in the background, the foreground.
yeah, and like you said, we get to see a lot more of Haddonfield, and it just makes everything feel bigger.
It definitely does help with the atmosphere, but I want to jump right into the plot points. I already said that my biggest like ding against the plot is where the hell are Laurie's parents, and why isn't Jamie with them? But I think my other plot point is Michael and Dr. Loomis died in part two. Like, we saw them blow up.
Yeah.
At the very least, Dr. Loomis should be dead, or his entire body should be burned. So there is no they don't explain how they survived the explosion.
It's
And
yeah.
that like leaves me with like the question, like, how the fuck are they here?
Yeah, definitely rewatching Halloween 2 for this podcast. The last time we saw it, that was when it hit me like damn, like how did Dr. Loomis not die after this? Even in H2O, that kind of like ignores these movies. He still survives the explosion for that movie. You know what I mean? Like, even though we don't see him, he passed away by H2O, but he still worked with the nurse and like continued researching on Michael Myers in that movie. They
Yeah,
still considered him
he still survives part two, which I'm just like,
in that timeline. Yeah. It's just like how they had all this gas. Like how like we saw if we can assume that what like seeing Michael in that movie like burning, like getting destroyed and like on fire, we can assume that that was the same with Loomis. But how did Loomis survive that?
when Loomis was in the room, but we saw Michael come out and stumble, so but we didn't see Loomis leave the room, so he was dead.
Yeah, it is definitely a little illogical. I don't know. I guess they were betting on that some people. I guess they were kind of betting on that people didn't watch Halloween 2. I guess at least some of the people. And then and then Loomis doesn't even have like full, like it's just half his face that's scarred. And I guess his hands are scarred because he wears gloves, but
And the scarring changes. And that car scene, like, you see it and it looks like he has a fucking egg on his face, and then it switches again and it's like a completely different scar. I'm just
they should have, yeah, they should have just had him in like, well, you know what? I'm not going to complain cuz I like Dr. Loomis, and I think 95% of Halloween fans will agree. Like, hey, you know what? We'll get some more. We'll take some more Dr. Loomis.
I
Because he
think I think this is the last movie I like Dr. Loomis.
past movie where you liked
Well,
him.
yeah, well, not the last one, but this is the last one where I was with him throughout the entire movie because what they do to him in part 5, but we'll talk about it then, ruins his character for me. But we'll talk about part 5
Oh,
when we
okay.
get there. But what about you? Are there any like plot points that you just found insane or that you enjoyed?
Plot points that I enjoyed. I really don't have any complaints. I think the story is objectively better and follows easier than part 3. Besides, like all the questions that you asked, like where are the other Strodes? Why didn't they give Jamie to Laurie's parents instead of like another random family? And especially in Haddonfield. But other than that, I mean, I still like the story for it's basically Halloween 1 again. And you can't really complain about that. It was a soft reboot because what did you say? This was 6 years after the first one.
Yep. The no 6 years after part 3. Part 3 came out in 82. This
Oh,
came out in
okay.
88. This is it had been 7 years since we saw Michael Myers.
Yeah, after Halloween 3, I imagine a lot of people were very angry, and the studio was like, let's give them more of what they want. And so basically Halloween all over again. But hey, you know what? I'll take it. I think it's a new take on the 79 classic.
Yeah, I feel like besides those little dings I pointed out, I do think overall that the plot flows and having being able to see more of like the teen drama was I enjoyed that because I felt like we saw like carefree, loving, hippie like versions of teens in the first movie to then pop over to the 80 teens angst with like the love triangle and whatnot. I do think they showed Tommy and Lindsay, but then like kicked them out, and I was like, no, you should have kept them in. We only have 3 teenagers. Michael Myers kills teenagers. Like, I need more teenagers in this movie. You gave me 5, and then they actually gave us 6, and then took 3 of them out, and then kept the other 3, and then 2 out of 3 died. But I have to say, once I saw what's her name, Kelly Meeker, the sheriff's daughter, I knew she was dead.
Yeah.
I knew she wasn't going to survive the movie, and I also knew that Brady was going to die too. I kind of saw that coming.
I wasn't expecting Brady to die,
I was
to be honest. But
once they showed him at her house, I knew he was a dead man because he no longer has a connection with the main
yeah.
with the survivor girl. So I was like, yeah, he's gonna die now. At this point in horror movies, I think they had with Jason in particular, they had just started to let the female protagonist's boyfriend also live. So
Hmm.
that had just been around. So, but I knew like once he fucked up, he was he was gone.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? There were still plenty of cops that to for Michael to kill, and if anything, this movie, like I think this was the most intense at this point in time, one of the most intense Michaels we've seen
I have
because
to
they
I have to say that I I didn't like this Michael. That's well, Michaels. There are two actors play Michael Myers in this movie. They started with Tom Morga playing Michael Myers, and he played Michael Myers in the ambulance, and he played all the gas station scenes. And then they fired him right after that. Apparently, he was just like too tall. So for the
really.
so for the first so for the first half of the movie, it's that guy, and then for the rest of the movie, it's George P. Wilbur, and I don't know, it just the way that the suit looked on him, it just looked off. it just didn't. It looked like he was a small guy wearing a bulky guy's suit. It just didn't look right. Like the whole that with
Yeah,
the mask troubles, like it just didn't. He didn't look like what I was used to.
yeah, and but I think the biggest difference with this Michael, compared to the other versions, is that they finally turned him into this unstoppable beast, which
And that's one of my hot takes is when the fuck did he become superhuman? His first kill, which is really cool, but I'll get to that later. But his first kill is with him putting his finger through someone's forehead. Like, and then when he takes the shotgun and shoves it up the girl, like, I mean, when you get to like when you go back to Bob's kill in Halloween Part 1 and he like takes a kitchen knife and puts it through a guy and like is propelling him up with it. That's like some superhuman shit. But what they had
yeah,
him doing in like this movie was next level craziness.
yeah, I think for me the biggest difference was turning Michael into like Jason, like this unstoppable beast. So in the original films, there was definitely a mystery as to what is Michael? Is he like possessed? Is he a monster? Uh like we didn't know because we never actually saw him get like injured per se. Uh the worst thing that happened to him at that point was getting shot by Dr. Loomis 6 times, but after that, you never saw him like explode or anything like that until the end of Halloween 2, where he finally burned to death, which verified like, oh, he's human. Until this movie comes out, of course, where he survives the fire, which tells you he's no longer human, right? So they clearly went the Jason Part 6 route, where again he's unfazed by shotgun shells or guns in general. He can't get injured. I don't know. What do you feel about that? How do you feel about Michael turning into a tank beast sort of killer instead of a guy that was
Because the whole point of Michael Myers was that he was a normal kid, a normal person who just snapped from for some unknown reason and murdered his sister. That was like the whole point. Like this could happen in your little small suburban town. And so now that he's like on the same level as like Jason,
but also he was a lot more of like a stealth killer too, right? That whole point was that he was stalking you from the shadows and waiting for the right. And then this movie, he's just like in your face, like here I am, now I'm gonna kill you, sort of thing.
yeah, and they didn't even make him stealthy. Like they just showed like he just appeared places. In the first movie and the second one, you saw him stalk them, but now he just like appears because the very first scene with him and Doctor Loomis, they're talking to each other. Doctor Loomis is seeing him. Without taking his
Yeah.
eyes off Michael, he raises his gun.
Damn you.
But somehow Michael's no longer right there, and now he's outside in the car driving. Like what the fuck?
That was definitely a weird moment. Like he had like the Speed Force, fucking the Flash speed. He immediately gets into Dr. Loomis's car. Actually, no, he gets into a tow truck and starts driving away. But yeah,
Insane. Like that whole scene. It just like I know what they were doing because at this point, Jason was like one of the biggest slasher icons. So,
well, not just Jason,
but
but
yeah,
Freddy too,
but
right? He's like this monster character sort of guy. I feel like Michael was more relational, was more like I thought they were going more for just like Michael could be anyone. He could be any random psychopath that's like that's walking around and stalking you, and you never know. And but definitely a lot more human with like a little bit of mystery behind him. But yeah, after this one, it was just like Michael Myers, the monster that can take 20 bullet shots to the face and nothing happens to him.
I don't know, I feel like they got away from what Michael Myers was supposed to be, but
Which remember in Halloween 2, he gets shot in the eyes, right? And here they just regenerated again.
yeah, but you see that he was in pain. And this one, I don't even think he gets hurt. So I don't know. This movie just
Which isn't a complaint on our end.
it's definitely the beginning of the end of this timeline. You can definitely see, but they're like writing themselves. They're trying so hard to put things together that's just not happening.
Which was kind of John Carpenter's fear, right? Was like, I don't want to explain all this. It's just one story that with the big mystery, and and he didn't want to make more Michael Myers movies because he didn't want to explain this stuff. He was afraid that it would let people down, and I don't know. I mean, for what it's worth, I enjoy the movie, but I can understand that they're explaining way too much at this point.
I mean, that exposition dump at the beginning with the nurse.
A decade ago, Halloween night, he murdered 16 people, maybe more, trying to get to his sister. Nearly got it, too. But his doctor, of all people, shot him 6 times.
Like, okay. But it's wild. And I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. But I don't know. This movie just had so many issues that kind of ruins the
Like the
experience
theme
for me.
song.
Like,
We can start. Yeah.
oh, the theme, the overall, yeah, the theme is horrible.
I don't think it's horrible, but it's not as memorable. It's not as frightening. Oh, that's probably the biggest thing is I don't think it's creepy at all.
Yeah, this is the composer is Howarth, and it wasn't bad. It's just not what I was expecting from him, given that he worked with John Carpenter on Halloween 2. He also did the theme for Halloween 3, but he also did the theme for he collaborated with John Carpenter on Escape from New York, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Christine, Big Trouble in Little China. Like, all those movies, especially Christine, have like amazing scores.
Who knows what happened with this one then? Because this feels like the Kids Bop version of like the Halloween theme.
I think I think with Halloween 4, he had complete reign. There was no collaboration. It was complete reign.
Oh, well, you know what? He was severely lacking that John Carpenter collaboration because even Halloween 2018, John Carpenter made the music for that one, and that movie has a lot more memorable music than this one. Halloween 3 has a lot more memorable music than this one. So it just goes to show that like John Carpenter's talents like for making music for these Halloween movies just are incomparable.
Or in general, like, it just wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't with the synthesized theme. The theme is horrible in this movie.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I don't enjoy any of the themes. I don't enjoy anything. It's all bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
besides the bad intro theme, like there's really no other songs that I remember from this movie, which just shows that none of it's really that memorable.
well, the return of the shape theme that you hear when Michael's like gets up. Not good. Not good. Nothing on here is memorable. Nothing in here like evokes like fear or memory or like anything. It doesn't get me pumped for the movie. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
definitely not
the best.
definitely one of the
Not
weaker
the
points
best.
of the movie. Yeah.
But since we're talking about kills, do you have a favorite?
I'm thinking. I am thinking. Who gets killed in this movie? I guess. Oh, wait. Brady's kill with the shotgun. I thought that was pretty cool. Brady's kill with the shotgun. The thumb kill at the beginning.
Wait, what? Wait, what do you mean Brady's killed with the shotgun? Brady was killed with the shotgun?
He doesn't shoot him, but he like
Wait, I thought
impales him with it.
no, that was the girl. That was Kelly. That was Kelly.
Oh,
Meeker.
and then then it's that one. Okay, so Kelly Meeker's kill with the shotgun. I know he kills someone with the shotgun. I'm pretty sure it was Brady, but maybe.
No, I'm gonna send you the clip right now, because it wasn't Brady. It was Kelly,
the sheriff's daughter.
Wish they'd fix the power.
Yeah, because she thought he was the other deputy, but it turned out it was Michael, and she got up and impaled him with Brady. Brady is trying to like load the shotgun, but did he squeeze Brady's brain? I think that's what he did.
Oh wait, no. Hold on, I know what my favorite kill is. Are you ready? Michael's death.
Oh, when he goes out in a blaze of can I call it a blaze of glory? When they like 20 people deep.
Unload. So here's the thing, right? And I mentioned this in the chat box earlier, but like when it comes to like these killers, you never see like the army or just a bunch of cops just mowing the killer down and finally killing him. But this was finally that one time where you see like a bunch of people get together and just shoot the shit out of them.
And Freddy, and Jason.
And Jason?
Mm-hmm.
In what movie?
And Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh wow. That's true. But was that after or before this one?
After.
I still think this one is more satisfying though.
Mm-hmm.
Because that one happens at the beginning of the movie, doesn't it? And this one here at the end.
Yeah.
Where all the townspeople all get together. They're chasing Michael around the town, and at the end, they come in for the save. The cops and the townspeople just mowing Michael down with the shotgun shells. And I'm saying it. I'm saying that's his death. I know that in quotes because he comes back in part 5. But you know what? I think Michael survives in part 5. It was a big wrong decision.
We'll get there for part 5, but I think for me, the opening kill with the paramedics, even though I hate that he was able to just like jam his finger in someone's brain, that image was jarring and pretty good. Like that was a decent kill. The makeup effects looked nice. It came at like the right moment when they were talking about Jamie being alive.
Say anything about living relatives?
Yeah, Anish living in his hometown.
I think that was pretty like a solid. It was a solid kill.
Yeah.
Now, one of the worst kills, I think, was the police station massacre. And that's going to be my hot take. Why didn't they show the police station massacre? He took out so many people in that police station, and that would have been like cool seeing them like trying to fight off Michael and him just like taking everyone down in the police station.
But you know what though? That's actually an aspect of Michael that I don't like. Like him just taking down like the entire police station. His whole thing was like in the shadows. He like he's low key. He's low key in his kills. He's not just. I imagine him walking just straight into the police station and just start wrecking everybody from there.
Yeah, and like I need to see how he did this. If I'm supposed to believe this is like a regular human being still at this point, then I need to see what the fuck he did. Like, show me what he did.
Yeah, because look, even in Halloween 2018, you did not see Michael physically overcome like more than like 3 people.
But that's a course correction. We
whatever,
can't compare 2018 to this movie. Because with 2018 they purposely went in trying to fix all the mistakes that the sequels made. So that wouldn't be a fair comparison because that movie was made to be better than the original sequels.
No, yeah. All I'm saying is, again, another example of Michael being the tank monster, which is just not what he
And not
was
what
in
he
Halloween 1
ever
and
should have
2.
been. He should have just been human, but
The Shape. He isn't the Shape anymore. He's the
he's
tank.
fucking
That should be his new
Jason.
name
That's who
now.
he
The
is.
tank.
They made him into Jason because Jason was
The
the cool
Jason.
kid
Yeah.
and Michael needed to get his spot back. That's what they did, and I don't know. I feel like it hurts the franchise definitely going forward. But um, what about you? What's your hot take?
Ooh, my hot take. All right. So this is gonna sound strange, just because we just grilled this movie for like the past 10 minutes. But I will say, my hot take. I guess my hot take is that I still think that Halloween 4 is a little bit more fun than Halloween 1. Now that isn't me saying that. That isn't me saying that it's like a better movie than Halloween 1, because it isn't. It is not. It is not. All I'm saying is it's a little bit more fun, and as someone who's a casual horror noob, I think this one, it's a little easier to watch. It's a movie that I can put on in the background, especially during like Halloween season and like September, late September and October, where I can just put the movie on in the background while I'm like doing homework or some other stuff. Uh, yeah, because I feel like Halloween 1 is a movie where I have to sit down and watch it. You know what I mean? It's a movie that I have to sit down and watch because it's just that good of a movie. But like, you have to get invested into it emotionally. And I don't think the same thing can be said about this one. It's more of like not summer blockbuster, but like, you know what I mean, like a Halloween blockbuster, I guess. Halloween killing blockbuster, where it's a lot more atmospheric. You see a lot more Haddonfield. It's a little bit more lighthearted. And so that's why I'm saying that it's a little bit more fun, in my opinion, than Halloween 1. I think I've probably seen at this point Halloween 4 more than I've seen Halloween 1.
I want to move on and talk about standout characters. And for me, it's going to be Jamie. And not just Jamie, it's going to be Danielle Harris, the actress. Because I feel like she killed it in this role. And to be her age, she was only like 8 years old filming this movie. So she did an amazing job. And the character, I believe the character when talking about her mom and want to be close to Rachel and just want to have fun on Halloween. So she's a standout character for me. I enjoyed the character of Jamie, and I don't know. My least favorite character was Dr. Loomis. I feel like
Really?
he didn't.
Oh,
he
we're gonna
didn't
disagree
do
on this.
enough in this movie for me. So, she didn't do enough in the movie for me. That's all I'm gonna say. He didn't do enough. He didn't do enough.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you with that. For me, I think Dr. Loomis does more in this movie than he does in the second one. See, watching Halloween 2 again makes me realize how little Loomis it actually is in Halloween 2.
Yeah. So what about you? Who will be your? What are your standout characters, good and bad?
Stand out? Okay, yeah. I mean, for me, probably would be Dr. Loomis. Yeah, because his character is a little bit different. It's what is it? Is it 8 years after
7.
6 years after the 10 years? Or how long is it after?
It's 10
part
years
2?
after the first Halloween
In the movie
universe. So in the movie universe, it's been 10 years since Halloween, the events of Halloween 1 and 2, but it's actually 7 years since Halloween 2 was out in theaters.
Yeah, because Loomis, you can see the wear and tear that those events have had in this movie. In some ways, he doesn't even care anymore. Like when him and Sheriff Meeker when they go to the police station, and that's where they find like all the vigilante guys from the town, and he's like,
You haven't got a police force. These men may be the only defense you've got.
he doesn't care anymore. That he's just, at this point, he's just like, let's just kill Michael at whatever cost. Or even in the gas station, where he's like pleading with Michael to like, you know what, don't go to Haddonfield, kill me instead, just kill me instead, don't go to Haddonfield. And then at one point at the end, he's like, oh dude, fuck you, and he just starts fucking unloading his gun on Michael. I think he's a different character. There's definitely an arc to his character between the first two and this one. Where at this point he's just like, let's just kill Michael at any costs. Like I'm done with this shit. Let's whatever it takes, Captain America, whatever it takes. Even if that means having a bunch of crazy people from the town with shotguns, driving around the city looking for Michael, whatever it takes, man. And I like Rachel too. And one of the reasons why I don't like Halloween 5 is because of what they did to Rachel. Because I really liked her in this movie. I think she was very likable. I mean, not definitely not like legendary status like Laurie, but she was still very likable. Definitely likable. And she has like a little character arc with her and Jamie, where at the beginning she's like, "Oh, I don't want to take care of her. Come on, like I want to go to the party with Brady and stuff." But then by the end, she's like luring Jamie from the rooftop while getting killed by Michael while evading Michael and stuff. So, little character arc there. So yeah, I think Rachel's also really cool, and I think a lot of people like Rachel too. So
yeah, you're right. I do like Rachel. But going back to sticking with Rachel, we almost didn't even have that actress playing Rachel.
Well, who do we have?
Well, Ellie Cornell, who plays Rachel, she auditioned for this movie, and she also auditioned for A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 5, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah. She auditioned for Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4, The Dream Master. But she actually was offered both, but she declined Nightmare on Elm Street, and she chose Halloween 4. And for Danielle Harris, who I can't see anyone else playing Jamie Lloyd but her, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch star Melissa Joan Hart also auditioned for the role of Jamie Lloyd.
Oh, shit.
So we could have had a very different...
That would have been a very different experience.
Very different. So, but, yeah, like, I don't know. It's not my favorite movie.
Well, clearly Danielle Harris was the right choice, because even to this day she's very interactive with the fans. So,
but
clearly this franchise means a lot to her, and especially so much so that she came back for the remakes with Rob Zombie.
But a little behind the scenes. After Halloween 3, executive producer Mustafa Akkad wanted to continue with the series and bring Michael Myers back. But so he linked up with a bigger production company, Cannon Films, who, I think it was Cannon Films, and they approached John Carpenter, but they wanted him to write and to direct Halloween 4, and Depper Hill, his producing partner, planned to produce this film. But something didn't work out. They didn't want to have. Well, actually, they John Carpenter, along with another writer, Dennis Etchen, actually wrote a little screenplay, and it was gonna be where the events of what Michael did would have ripple effects on the town. So it'd be it would be about Michael, but he wouldn't be there. It'd be like the feel of Michael, that the essence of Michael is now haunting the town and causing batshit crazy things to happen. But Mustafa Akkad was like, nope, we had a Michael Myers movie, Halloween 3. It did horrible, so we need him in the flesh. But John Carpenter didn't want that, so him and Depper Hill not only left the movie, they sold their rights to Halloween to Mustafa Akkad. They
were like,
yep,
do whatever you want with them.
they
You gotta give
they
us money
signed
before.
away their rights and ownership, but unfortunately, Dennis's script wasn't a part of the deal. And to make matters even worse, they hired a writer, Alan B. McElroy, who is the writer for the movie, to write the movie. But due to a writer's strike that started March 7th, 1998, McElroy, who they hired a few weeks earlier on February 25th, he developed the concept, pitched the story, and sent it his final draft for the script in under 11 days.
You know, I actually had to remember something about that where they were still, and maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but I think they were still writing the script as they were filming, right?
No, not this one. This one was done. It's just...
Oh, okay. But didn't they finish it in like a really short amount of time?
Yeah, he finished it in 11 days because he had to have it in before the writer's strike started.
So clearly, they didn't have as much time as necessary. But overall, I still think that they did a pretty decent job.
There were things in the original script that were rewrote. Like they weren't rewriting the script while they were filming. They were changing things because I do know that the sheriff was supposed to be killed during the attack, during when Michael was at his house, and it was supposed to start a fire in the basement, and that was gonna burn down the entire house, which is why Rachel and Jamie were on the roof with Michael Myers, because they're getting away from the fire and getting away from Michael. But they thought that the idea was gonna be too big and it wasn't gonna fit with the budget, so they scrapped that, and that's why we had the whole love triangle stuff. So,
typical teen angst.
Yep, and then along with that, I know how you mentioned how you actually felt like it was fall in this movie. That's because this is the first movie not to be filmed in California. They filmed this movie in and around Salt Lake City.
Yeah, just kind of seeing the neighborhood and the little shopping mall and stuff. It just gave it that more fall feeling, yeah.
And then our costume designer, special effects designer, Don Post of Post Studios, he's the one who designed the mask. Actually, nope, never mind. I take the part out. Never mind, take it out. That was for Halloween 3. But critic reaction. At the time, critics... They were harsh on this movie. Karen James from the New York Post said that the film abandoned its original strength, saying that suspense and psychological horror have been given away to superhuman strength, which I definitely agree.
Which was the same thing that we kind of said earlier,
yep.
Right?
And Richard Harrington of the Washington Post said, very much a cheap knockoff of its prototype, but it's not half as... And then finally we have Kim Newman of Empire, who said, it's incredible that a film could be so closely patterned on John Carpenter's still thrilling original movie and yet be so stupid, unscary, and boring. They were not liking this movie. And as I mentioned earlier, the budget for this movie was $5 million, and it made $17.8 million, which was a little better than the $14 that Halloween 3 made. So Mustafa Akkad thought he was in the right by bringing Michael back. Now, before we end, now I want you to put yourself in a place where you put yourself in the place of a theater goer back in 1998, and you just watched Halloween 4. And you have no idea what Halloween 5 is about. Based off this ending, where would you think they were gonna go?
I mean, I would have had a lot of questions. I guess the natural conclusion would have been, oh, Jamie's going to become the next killer. Easily. I thought, like, okay, they're done with Michael.
How would you?
And I think that would have been really interesting if they made Jamie the killer. So, especially at the end there when she's wearing like the full long
And
clown
she just
costume
stabbed
that he
her
was wearing
mother. Yes,
Dude, that would have been so good.
that would have been amazing.
That would have been so good. I think honestly, I would have been happy with that ending. I mean, if I was in the theater, I could already imagine myself seeing that ending. I would have been like, "Oh, this is really getting me excited for Halloween 5." Then, like, I'm really interested in seeing where this is
For
going.
me, I thought it was gonna be more of a like she just killed her mother. Now she's been locked away, and then we get to see her in an asylum doing some fucked up shit to people. She also breaks out, goes on a killing spree. Oh, actually, I thought that we'd see Laurie come back, and Laurie's gonna have to deal with the fact that she left her daughter, and now her daughter is inherited her uncle's evil. Or I would have liked if they explored like how the evil is hereditary. This is a mental evil, and it's hereditary. But that's not what they do. And what do they do in Halloween 5 with Revenge of Michael Myers? You gotta join us next week for that. So, before we end, Kennedy, what's your rating for this movie?
My rating for it? I mean, what is it out of 5 stars?
Yeah.
Or yeah, I think a solid 7. I mean, okay, wait, you just said 5 stars. I think a solid 3.5. Again, I'm coming from the perspective that I'm a noob, and you know what? I don't like getting scared that much. I think they did the best they could, giving the context that the guy had to write it in 11 days. I mean, might I disagree with some of the changes they did with Michael, making him into a monster beast guy? Maybe not, but again, I just think it was a little bit more fun than the other movies. A new take on Michael, love it or hate it. I thought the characters were good because again, I like Dr. Loomis, and I like Rachel and Jamie, of course, kind of the standout performance. Jamie is absolutely great, and that's why so many fans like Jamie. So, yeah, I think a solid 3.5 out of 5 for me. If you're a casual fan, I think you'll really enjoy this movie.
I think I have to agree with you this time. I gave it a 3.5. I feel like, yeah, they changed the movie. They changed a lot about Michael and the mythology, and I can see a change in Loomis coming that I'm not liking, but I don't. At this point, they haven't betrayed the story enough. They haven't betrayed the story yet. At this point, for me.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, I'm still with the movie because they haven't betrayed it yet. They haven't gone too far off the path where it's too much. Not yet.
Yeah.
For me, we get that next week, but we'll leave that for next week. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Here to review all your horror movies. So, see you next week as we talk about Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers. Goodbye, everyone.
See you guys next week.
The Haddonfield Horrors Podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?